On today's show, we're looking ahead to Week 15 in the NBA. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Recording this a couple of days in advance because I'm not going to be here to record this the day that I normally do. It's the Week 15 preview for the league. So I'm going to go through the schedule, talk about how to use it, how to benefit from it, but I'm not going to talk about players to sit, players to start, because in 2 days' time when this video is released, information changes really quickly in the NBA. So you can check out the projections on Basketball Monster, the weekly projections pages, your daily projections, your smarts, all of that stuff to get more ideas on who to start, who to sit for the week coming up, because if I put it out now, it can just be misleading. So I'd rather not do that, but wanted to get this out to you anyway. So let's take a look at how Week 15 looks in the NBA. Interesting week. Two teams with 5 games. The Detroit Pistons and the Toronto Raptors both play 5 games this week. 20 teams play 4 games, so we've got a really, really busy week. And then we only have the 8 teams playing 3 games. So no 2-game weeks, 2 teams playing 4 or more. So vast majority of teams playing a fair chunk of games. The 8 teams that play 3 games, Warriors, Magic, Sixers, Lakers, Hornets, Heat, Kings, and Nets all have 3 games for this week. So a lot of those fringe guys on those teams, Kings players, maybe it's Harrison Barnes becomes a sit. You look at the Nets guys, Nicky Claxton's not going to have much use this week. Hornets guys, Miles Bridges, Montrezl Harrell for the Lakers. The Sixers, Danny Green, Seth Curry's, those sort of guys. The Magics, maybe it's Wendell Carter, Chuma Akiki. Hard to look at those guys as our must-start guys with 3 games, with so many other players around with 4 or even 5 games in the case of the Detroit Pistons and the Toronto Raptors. And there's probably one saving grace for holding on to Chris Boucher is that with 5 games, he can maybe, at a bare minimum, play 100 minutes for the week, which is 25 minutes a game in a 4-game week. Which is pretty useful for him. So just bombarding your team with volume with Boucher, maybe that's the reason to hold on to him for at least this one more week. The schedule pans out really evenly. 7 games on Monday, 8 on Tuesday, 9 on Wednesday, 7 on Thursday, 9 on Friday, 7 on Saturday, and then we end with 10 on Sunday. Theoretically, you could stream 6 of those days. Normally, I look at 8 and under as streaming days, but you might be able to slide it in on Wednesday. You might be able to slide it in on Friday. It's going to be tough on the Sunday with 10 games on to find an open active roster spot, but you might be able to do that as well. In general, we're looking to stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, with a potential to do it Wednesday and a potential to do it Friday, but that is still up in the air at this stage. Well, not at this stage, depending on your roster. Teams that are going to be really good at streaming, the Pistons and the Raptors, obviously, not only do they have 5 games, but 4 of those 5 games come on those lower volume days. So you can add your Dennis Smith Jr.'s, Hamidou Diallo's, Isaiah Stewart's, Depressed Penis, Sadiq Bey, Corey Joseph, maybe. You can add these guys with a Duke Wayne Ellington if he plays. You can add them and maybe get value out of them by playing them 4 of the 5 days. There is value there. For the Raptors, as I said, with Boucher, you have value in him. Gary Trent Jr. gets way more appeal this week with 5 games and 4 being quality games. Yes, Boucher's improvement. Deeper leagues, Aaron Baines in the mix. Malachi Flynn in very deep leagues. The 5 games really does make a lot of sense. Teams that have 3 quality games this week, the Cavs, the Thunder, the Suns, the Jazz, Blazers, Lakers, and Kings. So on the Cavs, you're looking at guys like, depending on what injury status, maybe it is Kevin Love, you can stream him in. Maybe it's Dean Wade that has some value. Maybe it's the Discman, Chetty Osman. Maybe it's Isaac Okoro. For the Thunder, well, we already know that guys like Roby and Brown are must-roster players, but the Salt Flake, Theo Maledon, Ty Jerome, maybe he can be done and streamed in. The Suns, Jay Crowder, the obvious option there. The Jazz, Bojan Bogdanovic, the obvious option. The Blazers, less so obvious options there. Carmelo Anthony, though, he definitely springs to mind. The Lakers, Montrezl Harrell has streaming value for this week. But when we talk about weekly leagues, the 3 games for the Lakers and Harrell makes him not as useful. In a daily changes league, all 3 of their games are on lower volume days, so you can get more use out of them. So that just highlights that difference between weekly and daily changes leagues. And then the Kings, the same story. Only 3 games, but all 3 of them on low volume days. So players like Delon Wright, no value in a weekly league, but streamable value because you can use him 3 times this week. The Magic and the Hornets, no quality games this week. That's not to say that you can't use them because, as I said, the days that aren't considered quality games or quality days might have 9 games. So you want to look at that, but if you're adding a Wendell Carter or a Chuma Akiki or a Mo Bamba or a Miles Bridges, on the days that they're playing this week, do you actually have an open roster spot for them? And is it worth it? That's a question you need to ask. Let's move on now to have a look at the back-to-backs. Nearly every team has a back-to-back, 26 of them in fact, and 8 teams have 2 back-to-backs during this time frame. Now, one of those might be the Sunday, Monday leading into the week, but these teams have 2 back-to-backs. The Bulls, the Pelicans, the Pistons. The Pistons is important because of Hamidou Diallo resting back-to-backs at the moment. The Nuggets have 2 back-to-backs. The Raptors, the Mavericks, that's important for Porzingis. The Grizzlies have 2 back-to-backs, and the Rockets have 2 back-to-backs. With Wall's injury, that's important to note there. He's dealing with his knee problem. He's probably not going to play in both sets of those back-to-backs, would be my guess. When we're looking to stream, Monday, Tuesday, Detroit and Toronto, the only 2 teams who have the Monday-Tuesday combination. So if you add a Detroit player on a Monday, now they're good ads for the rest of the week, but Diallo's and Dennis Smithers and Isaiah Stewart's, add them on Monday and you can play them on Tuesday. Then, of course, you can play them on Thursday. And then, of course, you can play them on Saturday. So you add 1 Detroit or Toronto guy on Monday, it's 1 acquisition for 4 ads. And they also play on the Sunday, but that's a 10-game day, and it's probably not going to matter as much. So really important to note those Pistons and Detroit and Raptors guys are really important. The Tuesday-Thursday pseudo back-to-back, a lot of teams have that combination. You've got Detroit. Somehow I've missed Toronto in that mix, but they've got it too. The Bucks, the Bulls, the Clippers, the Blazers, the Lakers, and the Heat all play the Tuesday-Thursday combination, so you're looking at stream value across those days. And then the Thursday-Saturday, we've got Detroit and Toronto again, along with Cleveland, the Thunder, the Suns, the Jazz, the Blazers, the Lakers, and the Kings. So you're making sense of acquisitions and how best to use those acquisitions. Look, the best way to do it is adding a Detroit guy and a Toronto guy Monday or Tuesday and getting those 4 or those 8 games out of those players on low volume days. So that's a real bonus for those 2 spots. But then you can also, if you wanted to add another option on a Monday from second Detroit guy, second Toronto guy, you could drop them and get there someone in the Tuesday, Thursday, and then the Thursday, Saturday. The difference this week is normally it's okay, we add someone for the Monday, Tuesday back to back, and then we drop them Tuesday, then we add someone else on the Thursday, then we drop them Thursday, and we add someone else, and add another player for that Thursday, Saturday. But you add the guy on Monday, Tuesday, and it's the same guy that you can add for Tuesday, Thursday. It's the same guy you can add for Thursday, Saturday. So it only takes 1 acquisition. So then it just depends on how many actual streaming spots do you have, because you can get so many more games in because you've added that guy on Monday, got the Detroit-Toronto 4 games out of those players for the week on those low-volume days. Then on Tuesday, you use another one of your acquisitions. Maybe you need to free up another streaming spot for the week if you're in desperate need of wins this week, and then you can use that for a Tuesday, Thursday ad, and then you drop that guy on the Thursday, and then another Thursday, Saturday. But you could also look at it. You could add a Blazers player on Tuesday and get Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, get the 3 games. You add a Lakers player, get the 3 games out of it as well. So I think that there is, it is an interesting week in terms of streaming, and planning out how your ads are best used to your advantage this week is very, very important in my mind. All right, let's take a look at front and back loading for the week. Front loading, these teams have games in the first, or 3 games in the first 4 days of the week. The Thunder, the Pistons, the Raptors, of course, the Mavericks, the Jazz, and the Suns all have 3 games in the first 4 days of the week. Conversely, the Magic, the Hornets, the Warriors, and the Sixers play 1 game to begin the week. On the back end, Thursday to Sunday, Cavs, Bulls, Bucks, Pistons, Raptors, Clippers, and Blazers all have 3 games in 4 nights to end the week, while the Nets have 1 game. So, we talked about the Nets already having a bad schedule, but from Thursday to Sunday, there's 1 game. So someone like a Nick Claxton, who we do like a lot, but is the value there to hold on? if you streamed in Blake Griffin, is the value there to hold on? Jeff Green, like the value is not there with those guys. Maybe in especially in points leagues, Joe Harris is a drop there at the end of the week. If you're looking to stream in guys, you can drop a Joe Harris and add a Bucks player. You can add a Clippers guy. You can if it's a Zubats, 3 games versus 1 over that time frame. Really important to be able to note where teams' games played and maximizing the amount that you can get into your squad. All right, now, as I said, because I'm doing this a couple of days in advance, I'm not going to go through players to sit, players to start. That's more useful when it comes closer to that point of the week because we have more clarification on injuries and rotations and that sort of stuff. So this is just sort of more of a basic overlook at how the week looks. Again, you can check out our schedule analyzer on Basketball Monster and all our weekly projections, daily projections, season-long projections over there as well. Guys, don't forget to follow this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell, give a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.